Hey guys, this video is about painting a dining room using Procreate. This is a preview of what we're working on today. And if you haven't watched the previous one about the conceptual sketch, you should do so. But this part right here is a rundown of kind of how I approach the base drawing for the video for this current video. So make sure you watch that, and that's where we're going to pick up from. For those design students who need a little extra help and want to watch the real-time tutorials, I have the link in the description below so you can check out my mini course on Procreate for design students, where I break down how to do the furniture plan, the elevation, and the perspective, both to draw and to render it in about 43 lessons, so you can take your time and pick and choose what you are interested in. Once you have that quick sketch done without the color, you can go ahead and lower the opacity for that one layer. Okay, and then you're going to create a layer underneath that layer, and then that's what you're going to start rendering on. You're going to pick the color, the ink type. I usually use Tinderbox to kind of get started. If it's the perspective, I go ahead and keep my drawing assist on. Then I just start to kind of color in the items. The reason I have the drawing that I previously did on a light opacity is it acts like a coloring sheet for me. I've already drawn it. If you haven't watched the video for that, you need to go ahead and do that, or this video won't make any sense at all. So this is basically part 2 of that video. That video shows a quick sketch sort of way, and this one is taking a little bit of a longer time. So I think the first video, the conceptual sketch, is more like an hour and a half. This one, from start to finish, from a blank Procreate stage to the finished product that I showed you, probably takes about maybe 3.5 hours. Okay, so I do my fill here, and then I use vertical lines if it's something that has reflective quality to it. And then once it's filled in, I might darken it, and this table has planks, so I'll kind of define the planks a little bit more, and then I'll take it off of the drawing assist, and then I'll use freehand lines to do the the wood grain. So now I'm going to get closer to it and do kind of a wood grain. So it's basically almost like caffeine hand. When you've had a little too much caffeine and your hand's a little shaky, that's basically how you want to do wood grain. And keep it nice and long, and that's it. That's hinting at the fact that there's some grain to it. I'm going to also use the drawing assist for anything that has perspective. It just makes drawing and outlining and filling in a little easier, so that you can get something that has some perspective without thinking too much. And that's what's so great about Procreate. So I don't have to pull out my T-square and all my triangles. It's just kind of snaps in place for me. And then when I want to draw organic shapes like this guy right here, I just take it off of the drawing assist so that it can easily fill it in and do all my shading as necessary. So I'll put it back on for anything like this stretcher that needs a little perspective line. And then remember, if you change colors, to use the color dropper icon, and that's how you draw the stretcher. To draw things that are soft, like the cushion for this bench, you can fill it in using the drawing assist if that's what you want to do, or you can freehand that. But I would if it has tufting like this guy has, I'm going to go ahead and put my drawing assist back on, Then I'll use like a light gray to kind of figure out where my tufting crossing would be. So that hints at where the tufting hatching or the crossing will be, where the buttons will occur. And then I can darken it up with a darker color. Um, and that's how you're going to go about doing anything that has tufting or buttons or something like that. That's what's so good about the Procreate Drawing Assist. And then if you're going to do cording or that welting that surrounds it, you want to take Drawing Assist off so that it's easier to freehand that cording so that you can get that little offset line, because it's not going to be like a perfect ridge like something that's hard like a tabletop. It's something soft, so you don't need that rigid straight line. So make sure you remember when to turn off that Drawing Assist so that you can get more of a soft organic line. So you're going to turn on the perspective line for anything that has perspective, like this chair. And then when you want to do anything that's curved, I turn off the Drawing Assist so that I can quickly draw curved lines, like this guy here where it has some turned legs to it. Now, a lot of times when I'm working, I'll have different layers. But right now, if I want to merge the layer, like right now I have this window. So to merge it to the layer below, I just click on it, and then I click on the image, and then I hit merge down. And then that becomes part of the layer underneath. That just helps me manage my layers a little bit more. And I can, define the art a little bit better, and I can manage my layers, because sometimes if you have too many layers, it stops you. Procreate has a limit. It has a limit as how many layers you can max out on. So that's why I try to remember to condense and flatten my layers as I go, because I have been known to have a lot of layers out there. So remember to manage your layers a little bit. Now, when I do the molding, I will make sure I turn on the Drawing Assist unless it's got some curved lines. And remember, you can still use that trick where you can draw a line and then hold it and it snaps to become a straight line. So you can do that without the Drawing Assist. It still works. The Drawing Assist just helps with perspective lines, vertical lines, and horizontal lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that underneath layer that is separate from my furniture layer. This is my walls and windows layer, and I will add some shadows underneath things so that I remember that when I put on other, like my furniture, start to color more like the rug on the floor, I'll remember to define those shadows a little bit more. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw a scene outside my window, and I zoom up a lot. I have bad eyesight. These are from my years of drafting, but it's helpful to have a reference image. I decided I wanted to do like a Harry Potter theme room, like the Great Hall that they have. And so my view outside was going to be something like, Harry Potter like. So I just, found a reference image, and I'm hinting at the kind of shapes like the foggy night, maybe the clouds out there, maybe the water elements, maybe the cliff. You're hinting at it, and that's what's when you do an outside views, you don't want to define it too much, because then it's too much of a commitment. So right now I'm just hinting at the overall shapes. Obviously, it's not photorealistic. It doesn't remotely look like the Harry Potter scene, but it's something in my mind. I can live with it. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm spending a very limited amount of time on it. But it is something more interesting than to have nothing outside the window. So photo references really help. Now, once your drawing is done, you can look at it and see if there's anything that you'd like to improve on it. What I found for this particular one, it was a little too photorealistic, or not even photorealistic, it's just too perfect. And I like things a little bit more loose, a little more artistic, just not so perfect. And so I just went on and added a little bit, almost like a sponge brush on top of it, just for some textures so that it's just a little bit more interesting. I went and played with the reflection on the floor a little bit more and added more of a yellow tone so that it looked like a warmer wood, and maybe actually darkened up some of the shadows a little bit. For the shadows on the wood floor, you're still going to use the wood floor colors. So you're not just using straight up gray like you did on the grayscale study that we had done previously. This one you're paying attention to the color that you're using within the composition. And this part is fun. It's kind of finessing. You can finesse forever. So sometimes you just have to kind of call it a day because you will spend way too much time playing with it. What I really like about Procreate is the fact that there's an undo button, a lovely undo button. And if I play with something and I find that I don't like it, I just undo it. It's that little undo button underneath the opacity slider. So anyway, I hope that helps you. The next bit, a video that's going to be playing is going to be like the timed, the fast, what's it called? The time-lapsed Procreate video, where you can kind of see it from beginning to end and see how it all comes together, rather than my not so professional close-up views of my iPad. One thing I want to show at the end is that as I went along, and it was like, you can get close to it and get a real precise line, and at the end you can have a perfect one, but what I found, it was a little cold, so that's why I added accessories to the table, for this one, because it was inspired by Harry Potter and I really love the movies. I decided to do adding Christmas greenery to the table and to the mantle and to the light fixtures, just to give a little bit of interest to it. So don't be afraid to kind of look at magazines, to look at, to see how is a room styled, what's on the table, what's on the buffet, what are on the walls. Make sure you have artwork. The really great way to show interest in the room is abstract art. If you don't want to sit there and draw something photorealistic, go with abstract art. And that way you'll have art in your room without spending so much time on it. When you detail out your light fixture, I would put another layer underneath and have my center guideline and horizontal guidelines so that your light fixture remains level. Even though I had a general sketch underneath, I want to make sure that it's level, and so that's why I drew those horizontal and vertical guidelines. Okay, so here's the room without any kind of accessories. So it's fine. It looks like a dining room. And then this room right here is when I added some accessories to the table, to the buffet, to the light fixtures, so it's a little more interesting. I hope that helps you, and I will see you next time. For those of you interested in real-time lesson tutorials, check out the link in the description below for my real-time tutorial videos.